So I'm going to make this video as quick as possible, given that there are over 100 fixes and updates that Starfield's development team have implemented into the game. A couple of weeks ago, or last week, they revealed that there was a beta showing all of the fixes that had since gone live today. And 90% of all of the fixes in this huge update Bethesda proposed have almost nothing to do with what the majority of the player base want from Starfield. For one, the wandering around in nothingness that we've all experienced on every single planet. What about the mindless enemies who all have the exact same AI coding when attacking and evading? What the game needs is substance. The one thing that is missing from Starfield and has been since release. Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's Identity again with another Starfield video. I appreciate you for stopping by. Like the video if you're interested in what I'm about to discuss. Also subscribe if you feel inclined. But today, I want to just recap this huge update they've been talking about and explain why this does very little to address everyone's concerns. This is how the article begins. Our latest update is now available. This update brings over 100 fixes and adjustments, most of which focus on quality of life improvements and quest fixes. Our full list of patch notes is below. We believe we got that pesky asteroid follower this time. We're grateful for all the feedback we've seen and received and will continue to monitor and track your issues and critiques. As we noted last year, we'll continue to have a steady stream of updates about every 6 weeks. So if you don't see your issue addressed below, don't lose faith. Keep sharing your feedback and issues so we can do our best to prioritize. Thank you again and see you in Starfield. Sure, bug fixes and graphical problems need to be tended to, but that's not what most players care about. Starfield, coming from the studio it did, is a mere shadow of its former self. The inability to cripple limbs of enemies, rendering them useless and even dismember how they'd react to being crippled, like the Deathclaw, as it limps towards you and notices an abandoned car next to it, then proceeds to launch it at you as its last-ditch attempt at killing you. What about the fact that you can unclothe the enemies after they die, adding to the realism of looting? So many scenarios that I can think of that just bring the old Bethesda games alive. But here are the changes. I'm assuming they're the same as that were in the beta. And you can see here, as I scroll, there's nothing here that addresses the real problem. You don't have to tell us what bugs are being fixed in your game. That's something which is mandatory for a game developer to do behind closed doors in general. So Starfield Update 1.9.51.0 patch notes. Animation. Fixes players' eyes remaining closed instead of blinking in third-person view. Addresses rare cases where small animation props could be seen in third person. Creatures and enemies. Fixed incorrectly invisible creatures on some planets. Fix an issue that could occur on some enemies, causing them to stand instead of falling to the ground. I can't make myself read all of this. I'm just going to scroll down so you can see it. And I'm going to add the link to this in the description so you can read it yourself. But if you go through these categories, it says crew and companion. And by the way, I know many of you have went through these bugs. Many of you have complained about these bugs and requested bug fixes, but I personally haven't had any of these problems. Maybe some of them, but not enough to prioritize this over something that can actually make the game better. I made a couple videos about what's wrong with Starfield and why it's not making Game of the Year and the problems with it in general. And it has nothing to do with bugs. Bugs can be fixed autonomously. So they have this category, crew and companions, where you fix bugs dealing with the crew. And here are some general issues. And it says you address crashes occurred while changing from full screen to windowed. Another crash, control lock, rare issue of prevent access to... Bro, this is crazy. All of these are bugs. Okay, graphics. Improved widescreen support. Added support for stars displaying sun disk geometry. Shadows can now be seen on planet rings from improved reflection, improved contact. All of these are graphics bugs. And there's a ton of them. Now they said over 100. You got about 50 there alone. Outpost, okay. Fix rare missing terrain issue. Fix an issue that caused bulldozed objects to reappear. Powers. Fix a rare issue that can cause the phase time power to remain enabled. Quest. Okay, let's see if there's some hope within the quest and random encounters. Echoes of the past. Fix Delgado getting stuck at the... These are all bugs. None of this actually addresses the root cause of the game, man, in my opinion. And when it comes to these bugs, it's even more than the graphics bugs. Quests and random encounters is like over more than 50, I think. I don't know. They're not numbered. They just have bullet points. Okay, skills. And these are just specific skills that they're referring to, like rejuvenation. The VFX no longer replay whenever the hand scanner is open. And finally, we have the weapon and items. Fixed incorrect reload amounts that could occur when consuming a trauma pack. You know what? That's the end of it. That's the article. This is the big update that we're talking about with over 100 fixes. Yeah, they're fixes. They weren't lying, but they're not the fixes that we want or we desire. Me as a gamer, I'm speaking subjectively, personally, what I would want from a Bethesda title game based on what they had before. When I played those games, I felt immersed in them. How about not make a game that has 1,000 planets that are desolate, but instead focus on a few planets that are populated and have some adventure, have dungeons that you can go explore and find end bosses that give you loot that make you feel like it was a worthwhile dungeon run. How about make it so that the difficulty matters and that if you have stealth and concealment, you can kill everything with a rare pistol. None of these skills on the game matter when it comes to assault weapons, sniper weapons, or any of that stuff. As long as you have concealment and stealth, you're good. You see in other games like Fallout, it mattered. Your accuracy mattered. Your AP, when you went into VATS, if your AP was high enough, then you'd have a higher pool of them, giving you more shots in VATS, allowing you to target limbs more effectively. And if you had like a high luck stat, you would be allowed to initiate crits more often. It was just a lot more intricate when it came to the overall combat and the immersiveness that took us into the game. They had multiple enemies in Fallout where you'd just be exploring off path, off mission, and you'd come across some legendary enemy like a rad scorpion. And in the midst of that fight, there'd be another legendary mosquito or something like that. You could pit them against each other, watch them kill each other, or one kill the other and reap the benefits. Take out the one that's heavily injured from that fight. There were so many ways that those older Bethesda games were engaging. It's just something about Starfield that doesn't do it for me, and this update doesn't do anything to help that. Period. I've seen so many people address the issues, countless videos of people addressing the issues about what's wrong with Starfield, and it's like you're not even listening to what people are saying. Sure, you sold a great idea. I was all in when I saw those trailers and those gameplay videos before, when the hype was real, because I was going off the energy of the credibility that the Bethesda company had, which is a valid reason. But now I think that you have put yourself in a position that you might not be able to come back from. Because if you're putting out games with this type of effort, with this type of lackluster development, with very little to do, instant boredom, once you get to a certain point where leveling up doesn't even matter, then you've done yourself a disservice. And unfortunately, a lot of people are just going to move on from you. Anyways, I didn't want to really read everything. I just wanted to skim through it. If you want to go and look at the article for yourself, I'll leave a link in the description for you to do so. But I'm on to Dragon's Dogma 2. Now that looks like it's going to be something special, and just whatever else I feel like playing. Let me know what you think about this down below. Did they deliver? Was it what you expected? Should they do more? I really love to hear what you have to say down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this conversation, like the video. Also subscribe to my channel if you're new here. I'll see you in the next one. Be right out.